Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Page of Swords podcast. This is episode 8, and I have Anna O'Neill on with me today. She is a figure competitor who just competed at North American, so I'm super excited to have her on. We're already, 2 weeks post-show, right, Anna?
Getting close to 2, yeah.
2 weeks, man. So go ahead and, let my listeners know, what your age, where your location, where you're from, and we'll start there.
Okay, well, I am 29. I'll be 30 in March, so not looking forward to that. I live in Massachusetts, central Massachusetts area. I don't know what else.
Massachusetts. So where was your first show? Because I was looking on the NPC website. Looks like your first show was in 2015.
Yep.
Did you do a
First
local show?
I lived in Tennessee in Nashville for 8 years because I went to college and grad school there. And I started competing my last full year of grad school. So I graduated in 2016 from grad school, and I started competing in November 2015. And I did Music City Muscle, which was a super fun show put on actually by Brandon Curry, who won the Olympia a couple years later, and his wife. I did that show, figure novice. I looked like a little baby, and I got second place, and I thought it was so much fun. I was just hooked after that.
Yeah, I was looking at your pictures here. You say your first suit was a red suit. I always like to talk about suits because I think it's really interesting what people end up choosing for their first show. So yeah, look at you.
Oh man,
we all start somewhere, right?
absolutely.
We always start somewhere.
I felt so jacked that day. I was like feeling it hard.
You got great calves, for sure. You got back depth for a first show.
The calves have always been there. I think soccer and figure skating growing up, calves have just always been there.
Figure skating, yeah, that must be where a lot of the calves came from then.
For sure. Yeah, awesome. I actually borrowed that suit. I didn't have a lot of money at the time. Obviously, I was a student, and I was like, well, I want to compete, but it's very expensive. I borrowed that suit from my friend Jana Lane, who also competes. She hasn't done a show in a while, but she kind of I kind of self-prepped. I didn't have a coach for my first show. She kind of walked me through the basics of macros and kept an eye on me, taught me how to pose. What I looked like on stage, though, that was not what she taught me. That was me absolutely freezing on stage and pulling my shoulders back. But yeah, so I borrowed my first suit and borrowed my first pair of heels. I spent money on the tan and the show fee. That's it.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's not too bad.
No,
not at all. So for a first show, that's great. And it's interesting. I know some competitors, they'll start in bikini, but it's cool that you went straight into figure. Now, did she tell you to do figure, or was that on your own?
I had a couple people who said that I just had a structure for figure to begin with. And then I think the other thing that steered me in the direction of figure was I'm just not a very flirty personality. Always have kind of been a little bit of a tomboy. And I have a great respect for bikini competitors, but I don't think I could do their posing routines. It just isn't me. So I just went right into figure. I was like, yeah, screw it. I'll just jump right into the one I want.
Oh, go ahead and get what you're cooking your apple crisp. No, you're fine. I'm excited. That definitely shows the background there. I will just burn it off. All right. Sorry, I was bringing up pictures for North Americans here. Your most recent. You've had all kinds of suits when I was looking at the history here.
Yes. Yeah, I make my own suits. So after
really?
the first suit that I borrowed, the one after that, the next year, I decided I was going to save money by making my own suits. And so I made kind of I don't know, it wasn't very good, but I made my first suit and I was super proud of it. And then ever since then, I've just been getting a little better and better.
Is it this pink and purple suit here?
That was the second suit I ever made for myself, I think.
Oh.
There was Battle on the River in Tennessee in Chattanooga in 2016. There was like a blue suit that I made for those shows, and Flex Lewis Classic that same year as well.
Let's see. Is it the New England one?
No, that's later.
Later.
I wonder why there's no 2016 in there.
Oh, yeah. So there's a gap, huh?
Yeah.
So for some reason it doesn't show. Because actually I saw that and was going to ask you if you took a break or something, if you had a long off season. But
Yeah,
maybe
I don't know what happened there. Yeah.
And you actually have an Instagram for your suits. So do you sell them?
I do. I don't get a whole lot of customers. Sometimes I'll make ones for friends.
Mm-hmm.
I just really enjoy it. I always tell people it's like, it's a really good way to stay distracted when you're hungry and you're just sitting in your house and you're like wanting to raid the cabinets and you can't. So just sit there stoning suits. It's a cathartic activity. Each stone.
How long does it take you?
It depends. I've gotten faster. This most recent one, I made that in probably, I think I did 3 sittings. I did the top all in like 6 hours. And then I did the front of the bottom in another 3 and the back of the bottom in another 3. So I've gotten quite fast.
That's good. I mean, it still takes time because, I mean, if you're doing a full bedazzled suit like that,
Right. Yeah.
The designs are really cool.
Thank you.
Very neat. And yeah, I really like the one that you did here, the really colorful one. Like it looks fantastic in photos. Like this is a beautiful photo. Where was this photo at?
That was a Miami Nationals last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you do at that show?
I think I wound up 7th in that show. Probably.
Yeah, I see here the Nationals here.
7th.
Yeah, it looks nice on that stage too.
Thank you. Yeah, I was a little disappointed, I guess with the lighting, or I don't know if I was like overly glazed on that show, but it felt very shiny.
Felt shiny, yeah.
And I did that show hoping, so I got second at North Americans last year, and then I kept prepping for this show, kind of thinking, okay, well, if I keep prepping, then I'll obviously do well and do better and get my pro card. And then I didn't even make first call outs because I don't think I was really any leaner in Miami. I think it was just too much last year.
Too much. How many you did a few shows last year, huh?
Yeah, I qualified at won the overall at Jay Cutler in April in Boston, and then that qualified me, so I went on and did North Americans and then Miami. So it was like a whole year of competing almost.
That has to
probably
be
just too much.
Yeah.
Probably just too much.
I remember I went to North Americans last year to watch, and I think that's where I first started following you was after that show. Because
cool.
I mean, you are I love your legs. You have really cool legs.
Thank you.
Have a nice shape to them. Yeah, I remember this. Plus, do you do a little bit with BB Customs? Like, do you?
Yeah. Okay. So I don't sew. I'm not that crafty. So I work exclusively with Rebecca, and she makes all of my base suits. So whenever I make a suit for someone else, I refer them to her for measurements, and she just absolutely nails the fit every time. I actually, you'll get a kick out of this. This year, when I was stoning my top, I always pin it to like a foam ball, and I guess it was just like one of those prep brain moments where I actually stoned the pattern on the wrong cup. So it was like facing the opposite way. And I panicked and I called Rebecca and I was like, what do I do? Like, do I take all the stones off? Like, what do I do? She was like, you can just cut this seam right here and reverse the cups. And it was, it was an easy fix, but I was really freaking out at that moment. But she's awesome. all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, she's super knowledgeable. That's where I get my suits at, and I've been out there, and it's really cool because she used to do costumes and stuff. So
Yeah, she's
yeah,
talented.
she's really good with
Super talented. Yeah.
crafty stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And you were talking about how you do these suits to kind of like help with hunger and like your boredom and stuff. And I
Yeah.
was going to show it here too. So you also do artwork. Like you're super creative. Like you do all kinds of like side stuff too, right?
Yeah. I
This is
do
your art page
probably
here.
too many things, but I'm always so interested. Like I'll get on little kicks. Like I painted all summer and got pretty good at this stuff. It's called fluid art. It's just real fun. It's very like therapeutic. Um, I haven't done any since leaving for North Americans, but I have a couple orders I need to fulfill.
Oh, that's
But
great
yeah,
though.
I just like making things and being creative. It's very soothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. Like it's good that you find like a creative outlet like that for especially in prep. Like I know like you get hungry and like that's the best way to keep your mind off of stuff. So is that like your biggest advice for people and deep in prep, like when sometimes like you need to stay off of social media as much, maybe like trying to get people to find more hobbies than sit on Instagram all day?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have to stay busy. I have ADHD, so like I can hyper focus on what I want to do, and I can sit there and do the same thing for hours. But if I'm not focused on something, then I'll find myself like off on a tangent somewhere. So I definitely would advise people to stay off Instagram as much as possible and try not to compare themselves to other people on Instagram. Everyone looks good on Instagram. I think my coach even said that to me this year. I am not great at taking my own advice. Obviously, when you're building up to a big national show, even just by nature of who you're following on Instagram, you're going to see people that you know you're going to step on stage next to. And I think that if you can turn that into a positive, it makes all the difference, because instead of trying to compare yourself to someone, you can use someone to motivate yourself, to push harder. Like I have a friend named Alexis, and she's always in my class, and we've just become friends over the years. And I knew she was doing North Americans, and I knew she was going to be on stage next to me. Instead of feeling like negative and competitive with her, like we use each other to push each other harder. And like I think I placed one above her in Miami, but then she got second in my class at North American. So like it's fun to kind of battle it out, and push each other harder. But yeah, in general, comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, it gets harder, like you said, with a big show like North Americans. Like I remember before quarantine, like I myself wanted to do North Americans, but it's like during quarantine, like when I decided to back out, I'm looking at all these other girls still working out, and I'm just like, yeah, this would have been really hard to like not have the gym and then follow these girls that are still like kicking it well, or
Right.
home gyms. So
Right.
like, and you got through it. So like, that's super inspirational. Like, what did you have at home for working out, or what was your situation?
The first 3 months of quarantine, so March, April, uh, May, we lived in an apartment building very close to where I work. Small space, and we had a couple sets of dumbbells. I think we had like 25-pound dumbbells and 10-pound dumbbells, and some bands. And we got a bench from a friend, like a super cheap, just to lay on with your dumbbells. And I think I was doing like living room and or hallway workouts in my apartment building for at least 2 full months, probably 2.5 months or so. And then both of us, because my boyfriend Dennis also is a competitor and a lifter, we were both like going crazy, and we had the opportunity to get this house. So we moved one town over to a house, and we immediately spent a bunch of money and set up a garage gym. So we have like a rogue squat rack with a bunch of different attachments. We have a lat pull down, cam curl, and leg extension, a couple other things, spin bike in the garage. And we hung a big TV up on the wall, so makes cardio a little more tolerable.
Yeah, right. So is the spin bike your main source of cardio then, or what you did
Pretty
a lot
much.
for prep?
I do at least half of my cardio is on the spin bike, and then sometimes I'll do the other half on the Stairmaster, after the gym. But
Okay.
yeah.
Do you go to like a local gym or is it like a commercial gym?
Every gym membership I have around here is like a local place, not commercial. There aren't too many commercial gyms around here. There's like a what is it called, a Lifetime or something like that, like 30 minutes from here. I was a member there briefly, and then I realized the drive was not worth it. But we have a couple of different places we go to Encompass, which is about 20 minutes from us, and there's another gym in the other direction about 20 minutes, called Prime. Both are just kind of hometown gyms, but they have good equipment, nice people. We like it a lot.
Yeah, those are the kind of gyms I like to find, the ones that you can find some good environment in. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, commercial gyms have their thing. They're usually better for cardio than lifting if like
Yeah.
you need it for fasted or something,
Agreed.
but
Yeah.
especially that
Love that too.
Stairmaster.
Those commercial gyms, you always get more looks, I feel like, than the ones where everyone else is doing the same thing as you.
Exactly. Yeah, and then you don't have to think about it as much. It's just the environment as a
Yep.
whole.
Yep.
It's better for your mindset.
For sure.
So your full-time job. I know we talked about it off camera, but for everybody, what do you do full-time?
So I'm a nurse practitioner full-time, and I work at UMass Hospital in the ICU there. A couple different ICUs rotate around, but mostly medical ICU. So things like sepsis or infections or cancers or liver failure, those are the types of things I see. I don't see a lot of trauma. Sometimes we get like some overflow, but mostly medical stuff.
Okay. That
Yeah.
has to keep you busy. You're probably on your feet all day long, huh?
It's definitely demanding. I work 12-hour shifts, and it breaks down to like 3 or 4 shifts a week. So I do get a lot of days off, which is huge because the recovery, it takes me like a day and a half to recover from a couple shifts because it's just so intense all the time. And it's not as much, I mean, sometimes there's days where I'm like literally running around all the time. Other times I'm just sitting at the computer, but every day, no matter what, I'm mentally exhausted going home just because there's so much going on all the time. It's just like go, 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 the second you walk in to the second you walk out. So it's wild.
A madhouse, I'm sure.
Yeah, totally.
And then you work out after work sometimes, or?
Sometimes I try to be really strategic by arranging my off days for days that have worked, and then I'm going back to work the next day. That's not always possible, obviously. So there are some late nights, which is why it's been really convenient now to have the garage gym. So instead of driving to the gym and then back, I can cut out some time by just doing it at home.
Yeah, so that's where quarantine was positive because it made you
yeah.
make sure like you had something at home and then you can still utilize it. Like, I've spent the money on it.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right. And especially the days, I'm sure, when you're leaving work and you're that exhausted, sometimes you don't want to deal with people or, so like,
Yep.
that's great. And you probably, are you still able to get that clear mindset whenever you're working out at home? Like,
it's not,
you know what I mean?
It's not as good, I don't think. If you can get in the zone just with some music and stuff, but a gym, there's nothing like a gym environment.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
What kind of music do you listen to when you work out?
Lately I've been putting on YouTube videos that they're like house music set to like cool drone videos of like really cool like natural features and stuff. It's just a nice thing to have on in the gym. But I go through phases, so I'll do anything from like metal, like I really like to listen to Tool when I work out, and then hip hop, house music, whatever.
Yeah, it's good to switch it up. House music's good because it's so repetitive. I'm someone, it's like, sometimes, like you said, ADHD, where sometimes I just need the repetitiveness because if the song changes too much, I'll get distracted.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of it doesn't have words, which helps as well.
Right. And you just get in the zone, or it's poppy or whatever. I don't know. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
So, I also wanted to touch. So you did one physique class, right?
Yeah.
How was that? You did that at the Jay Cutler?
I did. I got second in my class, which was awesome. I had so much fun doing the posing routine. I really like physique posing. I think it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I might even like it better than figure posing just because there's more to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just did it for fun. I think at the time I was telling myself, I'm doing this to see which class the judges like me in and if they think that I'd be better suited for physique. But I think ultimately what it came down to was I do this sport for me at the end of the day, and I want to look like what I want to look like. And I love how women's physique competitors look. It's not a look that I would personally choose for myself some days, especially in the off season. I'm very short, so I tend to get really thick in the off season. I think if I carried that much muscle, super broad shoulders, like if I carried that much muscle, I think I would just feel uncomfortable and like heavy. So mad respect, but it's not for me.
How tall are you? Sorry.
I'm 5'2".
5'2". Okay.
Yeah.
I'm 5'3", so I understand. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's another thing with girls in figure. Like, I'm still up and coming, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I still want to put on some more mass.
Mhm.
I'm 28, so I'm only a year younger and everything, but it's like, I'm at the point now in my off season where I finally feel comfortable. Like, I don't feel too bulky, but if I wanted to go up into physique, it takes time, obviously, but you're right. When you're short and you got to put on weight and you're comparing yourself to Instagram and stuff and other girls, it's like, yeah, you're going to have to get a little thick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I also just have like a long-standing complex about that because even before I ever lifted weights, I've always had the shoulders. I've just was built with a big structure for a short girl. I have like size 9 feet, which is super weird for someone who's 5'2". And
Wow.
I just have these wide shoulders. My mom always used to joke with me, like good naturedly. She called me her little linebacker when I was growing up and stuff. And like, that's cute, but it gave me a little bit of a complex. It's like, I don't want to be like a big person. Like, I still like being like, proportionate to my height.
Feminine curves
Yeah.
yeah, I understand that completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, because it's hard by pictures. I've noticed it's really hard to tell sometimes how tall girls are unless you like see them in the comparison round.
So hard.
But like on your own, because to me, like you look like super tall in your North American pictures, like to me. But
People say that. People are always surprised. Like, someone will message me like, "Oh, I see you're doing XYZ show. Like, what class are you going to be in?" I'll be like B or C, and they're like, "What? You look like you're 5'9". I'm like, "No."
and you know what? It's actually, I think we're in a really good height class though. If you're like 5'2" or 5'4", like that's like really good for figure, because I've
Yeah,
noticed like as much as I love the tall girls, it's so much harder for them to like get those
way
like
harder. There's
quads
so
and
much
stuff.
more surface area to put muscle on when you're tall.
Mhm.
It's way harder. That's why I especially empathize or sympathize. I guess I don't empathize, but I feel bad for male competitors who are super tall because it's going to take them, 5 extra years just to put on the mass they need.
Like Chris Bumstead, I was so happy when he won because he's
Yeah.
so tall, and I'm just like, you have the look, but
Uh,
he's just so tall. It took a little bit.
Yep. But if you pay your dues, it works out. He's got a great physique. I prefer that clean look to the mass monster look we've got going on these days.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I enjoy watching the Mass Monsters. Like, Chris Bumstead and Ian Valier is his coach, and Ian does really good. I
Yeah,
really like
Ian looked
Ian's
really
shape.
good at the New York Pro.
Yeah, really good. And then I was really excited about Antoine at the California show because he's not huge, but he's a really good poser.
Mm.
And he's got a nice shape. It's just when he stands next to other guys, I don't really think it was like as big as of a show, but yeah, like the Mass Monsters, because I know all the guys at the gym, they're always like, oh, this guy, he's like so great, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, he's huge, but he doesn't really have a pretty shape. Like,
Right.
like I know everyone loves Nick Walker, but he's huge.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's as pretty. That's all.
So, yeah, so, I mean, sometimes it strays away from that for sure. I always like to see somebody who might be a little smaller than the guy next to them, but just has a better flow. I love to see those guys win because at the end of the day, I think bodybuilding it originated as almost like sculpture. It's not a diet contest. It's not a size contest. You should just have the best flow on stage for your physique. Pose the nicest, have the best angles, proportion, symmetry, all that. I think needs to come back a little bit in this sport. It's getting a little crazy.
Yeah,
It's getting crazy.
It's kind of coming back because like I listen to a lot of Fuad's channels, and he's completely right where the judges are looking for those tiny waists. And when you see the whole lineup, and this is for any division, as soon as the lineup comes up, whoever has the smallest waist, your eye will go to it.
It's like, very true. Yeah.
So true. I mean, it'll stand out. Like, I mean, it's like hard to explain. Like, I always tell girls to wear like waist trainers or something just to help. I don't know. Do you wear a waist trainer or anything?
I don't. I have tried. I've dabbled in a few. I wore one for probably maybe like 5 months, like very consistently in the gym. I would wear it, and then I would wear it at work. And I developed some pain from that, and I actually ended up with a hairline fracture on one of my lowest ribs. And I don't think that that's necessarily going to happen to everyone. I just have one of my rib cages, it kind of sticks out. It's a little deformed. So I think it was just too much pressure for that deformity. Personally, I don't think I could ever try one again just because of that. It affected my training. It sucked. But I don't think it's a bad thing if they don't make you feel uncomfortable. Everyone should just do what works for them. I just said to Dennis the other day, I was like, I need my waist to be smaller, but I'm not going to wear a waist trainer. So I told him, I was like, I'm going to really try the next 8 weeks. I'm getting ready for Universe in Charleston in 8 weeks. So I'm going to try to religiously do vacuums, because vacuums are actually like, they have evidence behind them that they will truly permanently alter the size of your waist. So we'll see. Maybe that'll work.
No, that's great that you bring that up, because I do know some girls that are like that, you know, either they only wear it for cardio or they don't like them at all. And it's good to hear that, you know, it's really not something for everybody. So if there's like another way around it, and I've never really gotten to try the vacuums other than posing, but I do see, do you think, are you laying down on the ground and doing them? I know some girls are doing that, or they just kind of hunch over. And
my favorite is to like put your arms on a table or a counter and kind of bend over a little.
Okay.
And then pull your belly button towards your back.
I've seen the videos like that too. Yeah, that's good. I was wondering, because I know some people like one or the other, but you're true. You want that like stomach control. Do you do abs all year round in your training, or is that just a prep thing?
I should do more abs. I don't do abs. Every year I'm like, I'm going to do abs this year, and then I never do them. It's so strange to me that every year I see my stage pictures and I'm like, okay, my abs need to pop more on stage. And then I don't do abs, but for some reason I just have a block with them. I don't know why.
No, it's okay. I don't do it at all in the off season. I'll do a couple in prep, like leading up to the show, like maybe twice a week, like right after fasted or something. But it's funny because people all the time are like, what do you do for abs, or when do you do abs? And I'm like, it's like the typical like gym question. And as a competitor, I think most of us are like, don't need it.
10 sets of putting the fork down, that's it. Like, really.
I get enough when I gotta do like a bent over row or something, you know?
Right. Yeah. That's the other thing. If you don't wear, I don't wear a belt for most things because I'm never going heavy enough that I, would need it for safety reasons. I used to go much heavier, but I have injured myself. So I really keep it to high volume now, but I don't wear a belt when I train. So like any compound movements, I'm getting a workout in my abs too, because I'm bracing my core. So I guess that's an excuse.
No, that's okay. And it's actually pretty cool that you bring that up about your training high volume, because like I look at you and I love your physique, and it's crazy to think that you're doing a little more high volume. I know, is that in off season too that you do high volume?
Pretty much, I guess. Okay. My boyfriend is a a trainer. He knows a lot more about it than I do. So he kind of helps oversee my training programs throughout prep. But we were talking the other day, because we were talking to my coach after the show, and we really don't feel like I need any more size. So we're focusing on like roundness and density, which just comes with weight day after day, year after year. So yeah, I mean, I used to be, when I started lifting, I was in the gym doing deadlifts, squats, leg press, like super heavy, super compound stuff. And I was a lot stronger actually when I first started lifting. Like about a year into lifting, I was repping like 275 on squat, and I have not seen that number in probably 2 years now. I feel weaker, but my physique has gotten better with higher volume and lower weight, and also I don't get injured, so it's a win-win.
No, that's awesome, actually. And do you think that when you were lifting heavy like that, it's not like doing that first is what puts you in the place now? Like,
Probably. I mean, I definitely always recommend that beginners learn the basic compound movements. It's really important for stability. You're working muscles that you know don't normally work with just regular machines or anything. That, and I'm lucky because I was always involved in sports as a kid. So, and in college I was an athlete. So I just built a great base naturally early on, and then transitioned into kind of a powerlifting style of training. And then after a couple of years of competing, now it's more of a bodybuilder style training.
yeah.
I definitely think it all contributes towards how I look now, for sure.
Yeah, I think everyone's got to find like what works for them and everything. But I do feel like, it's just like what we were talking about when you put on that weight for bulking season and stuff. It's like, yeah, you might be a little bigger now, but like I feel like every prep and every off season, like every cycle gets a little better, and you probably won't be as fluffy as they call it as like the first time.
It's
So
so
it gets
true.
better.
Every time I regain a little bit of weight after a show, it distributes itself differently. So
Yeah.
like I like honestly never know what to expect. I tend to store a lot of fat in my abs. They're the first thing to leave, and they're the last thing that I get. And lately, like the last couple years, it hasn't been as bad. Like not as much has been coming to my abdomen in an off season. It's really interesting how it changes every year, but it does.
Yeah, and that's reassuring because that's the kind of stuff I don't think you hear too many girls talk about, is about that part of the cycle
Mm,
where, like we all carry fat differently.
true.
Like what you said about your abdomen, and then for me, like it's always behind the legs, like glute area, and then like the underarm, like my triceps, like I know I have them, but there's like that's where there's just fat hanging out, and I think that's a partially genetics too.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're like, I think I saw a quote the other day. I can't remember who posted it, but it was so good. It was like, if three people all did the exact same training, ate the exact same food at the exact same time, like had the same exact protocol, all three of them would look completely different on stage next to each other.
Mhm.
And it's true, because the interesting thing about bodybuilding, like you said, is the genetic variation in people's bodies. When you strip someone's body of all of its fat and you put 5 people up on stage next to each other, you really see structurally how different we are from one another. It's crazy. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And it's doing North Americans, I'm sure you saw a huge variety of
Huge.
genetics and
Yeah.
structures and how people's legs are. Like, even if you look at wellness girls with how big their legs are, like nowadays you can tell if it's a wellness girl. Like,
Absolutely.
it's not about having big legs, it's having big, thick, muscular legs. Like, you'll
Mhm.
be able to tell.
Yeah. Wellness is really fun to watch. I have like so much admiration for those wellness girls. It, my body just wouldn't lose fat like that. Like I would not have abs. Like I don't think they want quad separation in wellness, but I would have quad separation in wellness long before I had abs and lean arms. So I could never do it. I could
Right.
never do it.
Imagine the cardio. You'd be like, I need to do a bunch of Stairmaster, but I can't lose like any of these leg muscles.
Yeah. I know. I don't know how they do it. It's so cool.
Right. And then figure and physique girls, we're just trying to like shed off as much pounds as we can, because we know we can suffer a little bit if we have to, because
Yeah.
it's going to probably happen with
Yeah.
the cardio that we have to do for conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I know who your coach is, but tell everyone who your coach is.
My coach is Shane Huegly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how long have you been working with him?
I think I hired him in January of this
Okay.
past year. So we've done pretty much a full off season and a full prep together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really important too, doing the whole prep and off season together.
Yep.
And you're doing one more show, right? You said the Universe.
Hopefully only one more.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're trying to get the pro card.
Yeah.
So that's the show that was in New Jersey, right? And they're moving it to
Yep.
Charleston. Okay. That's pretty, I'm glad that they did that because they just had, what is that? Junior Nats. That's the other national show that they have down there.
Yeah, Junior USA, I think, was in
Oh,
Charleston.
Junior USA's. Okay. Yeah. So that's one's left. They still have to do the Miami show, right?
Yep,
For
which
nationals.
I think I saw move to Orlando, which is kind of weird because I don't know why Miami would not be cool. Miami doesn't care about anything, so that surprised me. And then there's also USA's, which I believe is in LA instead of Vegas.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
think.
you're right, which is weird. I thought it would be the opposite because they just
Yeah,
had to move that one show that was the California to Las Vegas, the one Antoine just won.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with all that. It's funny. Maybe it'll move back depending on how things are going that month.
Right. I just no hope for California. I'll just say that. No hope for California. So we're hoping to get that pro card, man. Did you get any feedback at North Americans yet?
Not official feedback, but through my coach, I've gotten feedback because he talks to the judges.
Okay.
I guess I was very close to looking like what they wanted me to look like. I did not have. I had the best glute ham separation I've ever had, but it wasn't quite enough. So just pushing conditioning even harder. I get so frustrated because that's kind of the feedback every year, and every year I show up looking better, and every year the sport has just accelerated.
Yes.
Like so crazy that even though I look better, there's like 15 other girls that also look insane. I mean, these girls are dry as a bone. You know, I was the leanest I've ever been at this show, and then I got backstage and I'm like, wow, I am still one of the least conditioned people here. Like everybody's conditioned at North Americans, but you have these people that are just next level, just dry, paper thin skin. And I've never gotten that way, but we're gonna damn well try.
Well, and it's good that you have a coach that you're working with that it has that experience too, because
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize it. Because I mean, I'm looking at pictures and I've been to North Americans, but I feel like when you're actually backstage and you're around like you're seeing a cluster of them and you're seeing that kind of skin, I think it's a better visual to see.
Yeah.
But you're right, because that's really hard to conditioning. They say you know, you can always be more conditioned.
Right. And the sport just keeps growing at a pace where, like, if I had showed up last year to North Americans with the physique I had this year, I probably would have won. As I got second last year, I came back with a hugely improved physique, huge, and I got fourth. So it's just that's the way it goes. It's frustrating, but like that's the nature of the sport. If you can't handle it, you shouldn't be competing.
True. And do you feel like, were you shocked how many people were competing even after like the whole quarantine and stuff?
Yeah, I was
It was a
happy about
lot.
it though. Like I was going to the show thinking, okay, maybe I'll win this year, maybe I'll get my pro card this year, but I also really didn't want to win in a year where there was like half the competitors. So I
Yeah.
was super psyched. It was just as big, if not bigger than last year. Like I think they said there were 1,300 competitors,
Yeah.
which is just wild. And it was so cool to see that everybody managed to get through all their personal struggles. Everybody had something affect them from COVID. And so it was inspiring. It was a really cool environment. Everyone was just happy to be there and like just psyched in general. It was nice.
Even out in the tent.
Yeah, the tent wasn't bad. I mean, Gary Udit puts on a good show every year. It's really my favorite national show, North Americans. And they made it. It was flawless. They had like a little limousine bus that brought us from the hotel like one street over to where the tent was. We didn't even have to walk. The tent had mirrors everywhere, fans everywhere. Like everything was smooth. We got text alerts when we were supposed to come down for the bus. Just perfect. It all worked out.
Now, since you did last year and you did this year, did like, was there one that you liked better? Like, was the tent actually not that bad, or were
It wasn't that bad. Like I was a little sweaty because I'm kind of a sweaty person, and I was like, holding the hair up, trying to stay dry and keep the tan nice. Obviously, I'd rather be inside, but I think for the situation, it was better. And I stayed at the host hotel this year, which I didn't do last year. I got an Airbnb last year, which was nice for the kitchen purposes, but staying at the host hotel, just your stress level goes from here to here because
yeah.
right there you can just hang out in your room like until the last minute. You don't have to just camp out on the floor somewhere. So
Mhm.
I think I'll try to stay at the host hotel from now on.
Yeah, they always urge that. I know I've done it in the past too. It's just being stressed is the last thing you want to do on show day, or like try to keep it to a minimum, because
Yep.
I know you're already trying to worry about getting like hair and makeup or whatever. Do you do your own, or did you hire any of the host people?
I've done both for various different shows. I think I'm gonna do my own for the next couple shows because at this point I'm trying to save money.
Mhm.
Traveling all over the country to compete is fun, but it costs a lot. So I think I'll probably do my own for the next couple. Um, but I had a local Pittsburgh makeup artist do my makeup this time, and it was fun. It's fun to be pampered a little bit.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can do my
it
own
is.
makeup, but it's better when someone else does it.
Oh, for sure. I know, especially when you're getting up early and the only thing on your mind is trying to get like your, meal in, or trying to worry about what your coach wants you to do or send
Right.
pictures.
Yeah.
So just throw the makeup on, because that's important too when you're on stage. I know, like, your makeup looked really good, and you can tell that you had these like nice eyelashes that really pop the eyes and everything.
Yeah.
Because when you're on stage, like, it's the little details that matter too.
It's very funny. I really loved my makeup up close, and then I think I actually chose the lashes that she put on me, so it's completely not even her fault at all because I was like, oh, those are like really fluffy and big and awesome. But little tip, if your eyelashes are too fluffy, um, they can shadow your eyes kind of weird. So I actually hated the way my makeup looked on stage in my stage photos because I feel like it's pulling the sides of my eyes down like this a little, the shadow, and I feel like I look like I'm having a stroke. So next time I know better. And I think she even tried to get me to pick like a less crazy set, but next time I won't be doing the crazy eyelash.
That's the advice. Less is more.
It is, yeah, it is.
No, but they look fun though. Like, I do like the fluff to it, but I see what you're saying about the eyes a little bit. Because when you're on stage too, I'm sure the lights are kind of bright and you're
It's
just like,
like direct overhead light too, and then directly at your face. So it's overhead and at your face. So the overhead ones are the ones that really cast the shadows. Yeah. Learn a
you're
little
like,
lesson every show, honestly.
you do. And you're like, you're nervous. You're just trying to like make eye contact with your judges, and you're
Oh
like
yeah, that's hard for me too.
trying here. Are there any other like little mistakes that you might have made that you could give people to, like, so they don't make that mistake?
Oh goodness. I've made a lot of show mistakes. I did my first couple shows. I had a friend who has a spray tan business, and she would like come with me to my hotel room and spray me, which was really nice. But I now, since I live across the country now, um, I do my own tan, or well, my boyfriend does it for me. But I use the Pro Tan competition kit, and I've used that for the last four. Let's see, yeah, the last four shows that I've done. And I've loved my color even more with that kit. It just works better on my skin, saves you some money, and you don't have to worry about like if you mess it up in your hotel room, like you don't have anyone to fix it for you. You can when you just have your own stuff right there. So I like that. It de-stresses the situation for me because I don't have to make like tan appointments and like make sure that I'm at the appointment at a certain time. Like I literally just do it whenever I feel like is a good time. So I definitely would recommend doing your own tan to competitors, especially new competitors, because it will save you money.
Now, did you
Um,
have to do like a practice run when you first got that kit, or did you just like do it on show day and just wing it?
no, we just did it. I can't remember if I did him first or if he did me first. Oh no, you know what? Um, at the Cutler last year, a friend of mine, I hired her to do my tan. That was the last time I had someone else do my tan, and she did the rub on tan with the Pro Tan color. And I was like super weirded out at first, like, you don't have a spray gun, like what are you doing? Like, this is gonna look bad. It looked so good, and it just soaked right into my skin instead of the spray where it just sits on your skin. It really like goes in your skin when you rub it. So I loved it, and I told her, I was like, I'm never doing spray again. I'm always just doing this. That's how I started.
That's good to know. I've always wanted to try it, but I always get nervous. So if you're just like, no, it's safe to just do it on show day and it's perfectly fine. And I've heard people can do it by themselves too. Like
a lot of pros supposedly do that with the
I think that's what Ian Valier did, but yet I think they were talking about his skin complexion underneath was just really hard taking in the tan.
Some people just don't have the right pH. The scrub product that Pro Tan makes, I think it's called Get Buffed. That's a really good scrub. I'll start using that a couple days before my tan. I shave everything right before I apply the tan, so it kind of takes off that extra layer of skin. And the other tip that I've done too is Dawn dish soap. If you wash yourself with Dawn dish soap, it really strips your body of all the oils. But there's still a couple places that the tan doesn't like right on the breastbone in between your boobs, that oily spot right there. Forget it. It's always a mess by the end of the day.
And you're just hoping that little gem in the suit just hides it or something. You're like, please distract it.
Dabbing, yeah.
Yeah, and plus once you're like behind stage too, they kind of get you oiled up and they're able to try to buff you out a little bit too.
That's another thing. I don't let those people touch me.
Oh, really?
Nope. I ask them for bikini bite to stick my suit to my bottom, and that's it. Because like I said, I'm sweaty. If you're a sweaty person, you do not want more oil on your body. Trust me, you'll look like a glazed donut on stage. So I learned that as well. Like a lot of the people can be very heavy-handed with the oil, and they're all trying to make you look good. But at the end of the day, the only person that cares the most about what you look like is you. So if you want to use like hot stuff or something on your own, totally. But don't get oiled up by those people backstage. It can change your whole look, and that's devastating when you've worked so hard. So
yes, I was talking to I know some of the people that were behind North Americans, and they were saying that there's just like sometimes there's some people that just don't know what they're doing with the glaze, and like especially for like if you're African American, like you have to be so like they don't need a whole lot because they're so dark, and when they're on stage it'll really like wash them out. So they really have to be careful with that shiny glaze.
Glaze is super tricky thing. I've had it go wrong too many times. I just don't do it. Plus, like I said, being a sweaty person, I'm already shiny. I'm going to be shiny under the lights because I'm going to be sweating. So I don't need it. I make my own.
Yeah. And then hair, I see you kept it pretty straight. Do you wear any extensions or anything? Or is it, you look like you already have long hair?
I do have really long hair. I throw in like a row or two of extensions just for some volume. And I try to curl it, but my hair is very stubborn and the curls are always gone by the time I get on stage, which is fine.
Yeah, same way. I don't know. It must be like that thinner hair type.
For sure. Yeah.
And I've always heard that most judges prefer straight long hair anyways.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've heard. But don't get me wrong, like there are some girls that wear the curls and it rocks it well, but I just know for figure when you're trying to, pull all that hair behind your head and put it over, you don't want it like getting stuck in your ring, it's just keep it straight and simple, flop it over.
Practice posing with your hair down too, because if you have a ponytail or a bun the entire time you practice your posing and the first day you're moving your hair around is on stage, you're gonna look awkward.
Yeah, because you're just like, what? Oh, where's it at?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good tip too. Did you hire anyone to help you with posing, or did you do it yourself?
Yes. Yeah, I work with Kenny Wallach, and he's the only posing coach I've ever worked with. And I'm lucky because I get to see him one-on-one because he's local to me.
Cool.
So I've worked with him for probably 4 years now. And I know there's other good posing coaches out there, but I'm biased. He is amazing. He's completely transformed my posing. Dennis and I are very close to him. We love him. Kenny's the man.
Yeah, heard good things. I really have. So, I
Really
mean,
good.
if you're a bodybuilding and you're a competitor, I feel like you definitely have heard Kenny's name if you don't
Definitely.
have him already hired. And that's cool that you're in person because I mean, I've done like on the phone or like FaceTime, but
Mhm.
there's something about being in person where like I'm sure Kenny can actually like roll your shoulder if like you're
Yep.
just not getting it, you know?
He's very hands-on for sure. So
Mhm.
it helps a lot.
Yes. And I'm sure like with the transitioning and everything, I think for figure, people don't realize how the judges are going to look at you every second and even those transitions. And I've posed with Sydney Gillen before and like she taught
Mm.
me a lot just with breathing. Like we were talking about vacuums and stuff.
Yep.
She was always like watching my stomach. She was like, just keep it in,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah. The whole time you're on stage, you're like,
Yeah.
because if you let it go for 1 second, even if you're shredded, like you get that kind of rounded look, and the judges notice that. They notice that. They
Don't breathe.
notice sloppy glutes when you turn around. They notice everything. So,
They really do. Yeah, you got
yep,
to keep it all tight and
yep.
yeah, posing is so important. Did
Mm.
you practice like every day in prep or like do you or how often do you do
I
it?
start increasing the volume as I get closer to the show. A lot of times I don't have like a dedicated time to pose. Like I'll just pose between sets in the gym.
Mhm,
Um, I think I heard a couple years ago that's something that Arnold recommended, so I started doing that.
mhm.
Um, but then as I start working with Kenny, like probably like 6 weeks out, I start posing for 10 minutes a day and then 20 minutes a day leading up to the show. Kenny's kind of a less is more person. He doesn't want you posing constantly, especially if he's not there, because you can get into bad habits and then like wind up with that muscle memory on stage, even if you kind of know what you're supposed to be doing. So he really limits it to like 20 minutes a day would be the most he would want anyone posing, I think.
Yeah, that's a really good tip too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right because I've seen that with some people where they like the way that they roll the shoulders and stuff. You know, if you get into a habit going one way and you think you look fine because your lats are sticking out, then it's still different. You know.
Yeah. It's I had a bad habit of pinching my shoulders back. Like I would be fine in the mirror and like even not in the mirror, even just like normally in the living room or wherever I was posing, I would be fine. And then I would get on stage and I would panic and I would pull my shoulders back, which just absolutely ruins your lat spread. Um, but posing is so funny because really you don't want to feel like you're flexing anything. You just want to feel like you're opening and then
Mhm.
just standing there.
Yes, like a peacock, you know, just
Yeah.
let it all come out and just
Yeah.
be
It's like
relaxed,
the
breathe.
harder you flex, the more contracted your muscles are. And when they're contracted, they're smaller.
Mhm.
So you see guys on stage who are just like, "Whirr," like
Yeah.
flexing like crazy. And it's not a good look because you really actually, it's more like, hey, I have this body. I have no fat on me. I'm going to come and stand on stage and check it out. Like,
All
that's
about
kind of
that
what posing
flow,
should be.
man.
Yeah.
All about that flow. That's why I was excited when I saw you're talking about Ian Valier with Kenny. I
Mm.
mean, he helped his posing a lot for New
Yeah.
York. And he
Yeah.
did, when he would transition into a side pose, he just looked more confident and just didn't look like as much effort. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really good tip for people too.
Yeah.
So I did have a listener question that I wanted to ask before I forget. They want to know like nationals versus a regional show. Like you've done a couple national shows,
Mhm.
so like what is the major difference? You know what I mean? Like other than like size, volume, and everything like that. Like what's the biggest takeaway?
Um, I think the judging can be a little different.
Hmm.
Uh, the expectations for conditioning are much higher at a national show.
Hmm.
I have always done reasonably well just because I have a pretty good X frame naturally. And then I just have added to that over the course of the years. And sometimes at a regional show, I would beat out a girl who was leaner than me because I had a more figure type shape. And so I was kind of used to that. And I kind of relied and maybe even rested on my laurels a little bit, just knowing that I had that structure. But now having, a couple national shows under my belt, they will place a girl who is leaner than you, who has a worse structure than you, higher than you at a national show, which is different from regional level. But it comes down to, and I have a friend who's a NPC judge, and he told me one time what it comes down to is that in national shows, they want those variables that you can control, that you can work for.
Yes.
They're always going to place that higher value than something you're born with, right? So if you get on stage at a national show, you have a great structure, but you're not conditioned, you're going to place low. Because there's other girls who just look like they worked harder than you at the end of the day.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good tip too, because like what we talked about earlier, you can always get more conditioned. And in figure, it's dramatic. Once you're on stage next to the other girls, like the hamstring lines, they pop. You know who's got the hamstring lines whenever they're on stage.
For sure.
Right.
Yep.
And it takes a lot of work because like with all the cardio, you don't want to lose too much leg muscle either. So hard to find that balance for some girls. It might take a couple shows.
Yes, definitely.
Well, Anna, I've had you on for almost an hour here. So I wanted to end it with, well, you already said your birthday was in March. So are you a Pisces or an Aries?
Pisces.
Pisces. Oh, that's why you are artistic and all to yourself a little bit, right?
They say, right?
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm such a scientist at heart that astrology is like, it's kind of silly that I'm into it, but I am into it. And like, it's funny how I do relate to a lot of the Pisces traits.
I'm a Gemini, and I think I like Pisces because they're usually the complete opposite of me. You know what I mean? Like, which you're pretty talkative, but most Pisces I know, they're pretty, like, I always like Pisces men, which Pisces men and women are different, but Pisces men, they're usually really quiet. But yeah, I can see the Pisces in you going with the flow.
I'm definitely an introvert, but when you put me in my element and ask me to talk about something, if you want me to talk about medicine or competing, like I won't shut up. So
that's good. You got to have a lot of passion. I mean, gets us through the day, right?
Yes, that's for sure.
And where can everyone find you on Instagram? What's your Instagram handle?
Instagram handle is medical_muscle_.
And I will put that in the show notes. And then what's your other for your suits and your artwork?
My suit page is crafted competition suits, and my artwork page is Go with the Flow paint, and they're both linked on my homepage as well.
And that's awesome. And if anybody wants to get a suit or a painting, they can just DM you on those.
Absolutely. Yeah, I keep it casual. I don't have anything fancy set up. Maybe I'll have an Etsy shop someday, but for now it's just through DM. And I'll say one more plug. So I don't do any coaching myself, but my boyfriend is a really good coach. And if you want to check his page out, he's also on my profile. And I'll just go ahead and field any coaching inquiries now, because I don't have time for it. I would love to, but he's way better than I am. So
I did want to, what's he compete in?
Classic physique.
Classic. Okay. See, that's why you like those guys that have a little bit more flow and shape, right?
Yeah.
The classic guys are cute.
Yeah. And he's a Pisces too. He was born 12 days before me.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you what, if you can find your like similar sign chart, you can't go wrong. You just have to relate to that person. You'll know
we're a lot alike, but we were enough different that it works out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All righty, girl. Well, is there any other sponsors or anything you wanted to shout out before I go? Or
oh my God, I'm probably gonna forget to say. I don't really have like any formal sponsors anymore. I'm probably gonna forget to give somebody credit, but obviously a lot of credit goes to my coach, my posing coach, Kenny, my boyfriend. I have an older coach that I kind of just transitioned more into a friendship than a coaching relationship that helped me out a lot last year and helped me grow into the physique I have this year. And his name is Mike, and he's awesome as well. So I have to give him a little shout out. But yeah, I'm probably going to forget someone and then feel really bad later.
It's okay. I know we've been talking about all kinds of stuff. I jump all over the place because I'll be like, "Ooh, here's something I want to know."
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. So
It's
thank
been
you so
fun.
much.
Thanks
And
for
of
having me.
course, wish you luck for your next show.
Thank you.
That
Thank
pro
you.
card.
I'm so excited. And Charleston is super fun. So hopefully we'll get to stay a couple
I
days
love
after.
Charleston. Yeah, you'll have a great time. So,
Yeah. All right.
all right. Good luck, girl. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a good one.
You too.